Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about The Mysterious Benedict Society, Season 2. So, I finally now have watched the second season, and I had to watch it really fast because tomorrow Disney Plus is taking it off their streaming site. Now, I don't know if they're going to take it off their streaming site starting tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. But because of that, I restarted my Disney Plus, and I got a great deal on the bundle of Hulu because they had like the streaming day holiday thing, which is now a holiday. And you get like Hulu and Disney Plus for $5 a month. But I think the sale is off now. I'm not really 100% sure. But anyway, so I had to step up my Disney Plus and Hulu stuff and watch it a whole lot earlier than I wanted to. Because this show and the Mighty Ducks show are going to be taken off. And I really wanted to watch the second season. Even though I know both seasons caused it to be canceled. And so I now see why this show got canceled. Season 2 is not very good at all, and I mean at all. And it's quite a shame because Season 2 is phenomenal. But I feel like even though Season 2 wasn't like all that great, there's no reason to take it off your streaming site. And they're doing this just to try to get money back from like a tax. But they can't really do a tax write-off because it's already out there. But they can get something back, and they don't have to pay residuals to their stars, writers, directors, none of those people. And it's a real bad thing that what Disney Plus is doing. But this is what happens when you buy out another like company. You have to take on their debt. And so they're trying to save money as much as possible. Now, Season 2, I had some worries going into Season 2. Season 2 came out last year. And so I had worries because I saw the trailer and the trailer didn't seem all that interesting. Then after the season was over with, they did a combination of like the funniest scenes from Season 2, and as I watched that, it's over 20 minutes long, and as I watched that, I realized it's not really that funny, but yet these are supposed to be the most funniest parts of the entire season. Now somebody, and this is what Disney done themselves, put like a combination of stuff. Now a fan did the same thing in Season 1, but they did it with Constance and Constance only, and that was over 20 minutes long, and that's hilarious. So I'm all like, what the heck happened in Season 2? Then I noticed a weird strategy they did. The show is a Disney Plus show, and it's supposed to come out on Disney Plus, but it came out on Disney Channel the day before it came out on Disney Plus. And then they started showing it on Disney Channel. I'm like, that's a weird, odd strategy because this isn't really a Disney Channel type format show. And a lot of Disney Channel type like fans aren't probably gonna like this series because it's a slightly bit mature, but not too mature. But there is a cuss word this season, so they probably edit that out in Disney Channel like they did Boy Meets World. And so the thing is, like, it's weird. Like, I didn't understand why they would do that strategy for. Because like the show this season lost a lot of its humor and its quirkiness. There was still quirkiness added in, but it felt forced in. This season is nothing like the first, and one of the reasons why is because they deviated heavily from the book. In fact, only the first 2 episodes really revolve around the book, and then everything else is completely different and made up from what I can tell. I've never read the books, but I read the synopsis online on Wikipedia, and it's totally different. The book sounds a whole lot more funner than this. I don't know why they went this route. It's the same writers, it's the same directors. I don't know what the heck happened. Now, this is what's so weird. Okay, every episode, even in Season 1, is 8 episodes long. They are about 32 minutes long, but then there's about 10 minutes of end credit scenes that take up the runtime and stuff. And in season one, in the short amount of time they had, a whole lot of stuff happened. A whole lot of stuff, events happened, a whole lot of character development happened, a lot of emotional stuff happened, a lot of stuff happened in season one. In season two, it feels like nothing's going on. It's like stuff is happening, but nothing's moving. And all the characters' personalities are similar to season one, but not as strong as season one. Constance is still her rude, smart mouth self, but not as much and not as funny as season one. Sticky is still extremely smart with his photographic memory and like mathematics, but you really don't get a sense of that in this season. Kate still has her bucket, but she's not as obsessed about it as she was in season one. But yet there's like one scene where she's super obsessed with it and can't like part with it, but she's not overly obsessed with it like she was in season one. And in fact, it takes 4 episodes for her to even do anything with the bucket, and 3 episodes for her to even talk about the bucket. And she still builds stuff, but not as much as season one. Rainey is still the leader and everything, and he is still smart, but it's like, and he led the team in season one, but in season two, it feels like he's not really leading and he's not really doing much. Also, the kids are still smart, but they don't seem like they're as smart as they were last season. And plus, they only use their smarts like once in a while and everything. The adults, they still get a lot of screen time like in season one, but they're not as quirky as they were in season one. And that's the main problem. The bad guy is still there, and his motivations make no sense in this entire season. The stakes are still high because he wants to control the world like he did last season. But you feel like you don't get a sense of anything bad happening because you really don't get to interact kind of with the people in town all that much. Then it's like his son. His son is completely written out of season two, which is weird because he's in the book in the second book. And not only that, but I think he survives in season one and he hangs out with his father at the end of season one. So where exactly is he? And it's just like all this stuff is going on, but you don't really get a sense of how it's going on. Like the bad big threat, how exactly is that accomplished? It's never really explained. Then there's a weird, odd subplot in the last episode with number two's family that I'm pretty sure is completely out of, like, you know, the books. It's not even from the books. Like when I say it's out, I mean like it's not even from the books. And so like then there are the 10 men, and I'm just kind of like, well, where exactly are the 10 men this season? Are they the people who I think they are? Because I'm kind of like, they're never called that. And I guess it's them, but like whatever and stuff, you know? And so this season just feels incomplete. It feels like there was no thought, no care put into it. And a lot of stuff just feels misplaced, which is quite a shame because, like I said before, season one had a lot to offer. And season one felt like it went on and on and on, and it's only 8 episodes in the same time length as season two, whereas everything in season two just seems to go by so quickly. It doesn't make any sense. And so it's very disappointing. Like, okay. Here we go. So after season one, all the kids go back to their respective homes or whoever they're adopted by, and they live their lives. Rainey is feeling neglected because nobody's really contacting him like over time, and you know, because they're all living their lives and doing their thing. Sticky is going to school, he's with his family, and he's super smart and he's making new friends. Constance is just being Constance and just wants to be left alone. Kate is hanging out with her father and she's loving it, but he is a little overprotective. And Rainey is still living with Mrs. Paramall, and everything just seems to be fine. But of course, they have to get recruited again because something is going on. And it has to do with Mr. Curtin from last season. And so Mr. Benedict, him and number two, they're out, and, they get captured and stuff. They get captured while they're watching like this television program that has to do with like, Mr. Curtin and stuff. Apparently now Mr. Curtin is like a hero. He is the one known for stopping the emergence, which he never did. It was the kids that stopped that because he is the one who caused it. And for some reason, everybody thinks he's a hero and stuff. So with those two getting kidnapped by him, of course, the kids, they show up at like his mansion, and Rainy's feeling a little neglected. He's best friends with Sticky. He's like, man, where you been? And Sticky's like, oh, I've been doing all this cool, amazing stuff, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm really, really smart at school and stuff like that, right? So in a way, they're supposed to go on some type of scavenger hunt because Benedict gave Constance, like, this like letter that she was supposed to open. But I think the assistants, the adult assistants, they're the one who gives they the one who talk about like the scavenger hunt thing, and they were supposed to go on. But with now Benedict being captured, the adults don't want the kids to go on this mission. Of course, the kids, they sneak and they do it anyways, and it's a bunch of like hidden clues and riddles and stuff like that. It's a scavenger hunt. And I'm still not sure why it was a scavenger hunt. Like, this thing didn't make no sense. If they're supposed to stop the big bad, Mr. Curtin, why was it in the form of a scavenger hunt? Why didn't he just tell them and this and that? And that's because in the book, it is a scavenger hunt. And it has to do with like something completely different. And so like, so the kids, they sneak out, but Kate doesn't really want to go, but she goes anyway. So this causes all the adults to like panic, and they go and try to stop the kids before the kids can even get on the boat. But the kids don't have the boat ticket, so they knock over a bunch of sugar in a sugar crate, and they sneak inside on the boat. So they're trespassing. And so the captain's like, number one, he realized that these kids are not with adults and that they must be stowaways. So the captain and his number one turns out to be like the villains so far, right? And they're the villains for kind of like the first two episodes, but they're not really doing that much villainous stuff other than talking about a example need to be made and they need to walk the plank. So the number one dude, he's constantly trying to get the kids, but the kids are like avoiding him. The kids are like, staying in the room they're supposed to stay in, but it no longer belongs to them, and the adults want the room back. So they have to do like the scavenger hunt and stuff like that, and so they figure out a clue, and it takes them a long while to figure it out. Not to mention, I don't know how they didn't get caught not trying to figure out the clue. But in a way, they sleep in the the engine room. And when they wake up, all the engineers are now gambling and stuff. Now and so when they're gambling, that's when Constance is all like, okay, we need money. We need food, we're gonna need like a ride, we're gonna need a hotel once we get to whatever country we need to get to, right? And so like they decide they're gonna gamble. I assume that because they're so smart, they were gonna clean house. And Rainy is the only one losing while everybody else is winning. And so he's kind of sad at this point, and he's amazed by all the money, the chips everybody won. But then they reveal that they all cheated, and he's upset about that. Especially Sticky and everything. Like, he really comes on Sticky about that cheating. And like I assumed that's what they were gonna do. They were gonna cheat to get money, like count cards and shave the dice and like all this other stuff, and that's what they did. So he makes them hand over the winnings that they got. And it's like, why would you do that for? Because it's like, they need that money to survive, and they're on their own, and they're just little kids. So they give it back, and the captain, he seems, not the captain, but the engineer, the chief engineer, he seems like he's pissed, but he's not. He's thankful they gave the money back. So he gives them a big wad of cash, less than what they made. So then they get caught by the number one and they get taken to the captain. And to get themselves out of this situation, Sticky and Kate realize that the engine sounds weird. It's taking on seawater. So they tell him, they can fix it. And they fix it off screen if he'll just take them to the hotel and check them in or sneak them in. And that's what he does. He doesn't punish them and all this other stuff. He doesn't make them walk the plank. And he just sneaks them into the hotel and he leads them on their way. But here's the thing. There are bad people on the boat. There are a group of girls who are trying to kidnap them. They assume that the girls work, or these women work for Curtin. Now here's the thing. In the book, the captain is actually their friend. He's a friend of Benedict. And so, like, he helps them willingly. He doesn't have no agenda to try to, like, harm them like in the show. So I don't know why in the world they would, like, do that. I guess it's to set up tension, because there isn't that much tension in the show. And so, like, while they're there, they find out the next clue, but then they have to get to a certain place. So they get into a taxi cab while they're being chased by Mr. Curtin's men. And so, like, when they get through with the ride, the cab driver scams them for like over $900. And they said they don't have it, but they have other stuff that's sentimental. So he wants Kate's bucket. Of course, she won't give it up. But Constance all like, all right, fine. You can have my necklace and everything. I don't even want it. And it's worth a lot of money. So then they get inside the hotel and they're trying to figure out the clue. And they say Constance is the clue. Also note that she still has her psychic ability, which she really does not put to play in this season, like she did towards the end of the first. And so she can sense that something's wrong with Mr. Benedict. So anyway, they say the clue is within Constance, and so she's trying to figure it out. They think it's her psychic power, but she's like, ah, crap, I know what it is. It's the necklace, because Mr. Benedict gave it to her. Also, a side note is that she doesn't want to know nothing about her real parents and stuff, because they gave her away and stuff. And so when Kate tries to question her about it, she just doesn't want to talk about it. But she now accepts Mr. Benedict as kind of like her father, but in her mean little way. So now they have to get the necklace back. So they con the taxi cab driver into getting the necklace back, but they con him in a very dumb kind of way. Basically, she won't give up the bucket, but she's all like, oh, I'll give you something in the bucket. But she pretends like this one thing means a lot, but she pretends like it doesn't. But it really doesn't, And so he wants that, and he gives up the necklace. The necklace has a pearl inside, it's a little clam necklace with a little pearl. The pearl has a lens with a map and this and that, so they go to where they have to go on train. While they're on the train, they have to sneak on. Of course, the bad people are chasing them, and the women who tried to kidnap them before ends up on the train, so they hide on the train. Well, Sticky's supposed to, take watch as they all sleep. But he falls asleep and they all wake up and Constance is gone. They get off the train and they realize the women must have taken her. So they don't know how they're going to find her. But Kate has an idea. She called, I think, Martina, I think it was, from last season, the tetherball girl. And so she's in the middle of a tetherball game. She gets the message from Kate and she heads on over to help the group, because she can drive now because she's in college. How much time passed? Because she didn't seem that old last season. And so basically they just go back to where the train stopped at a certain point, and they see footsteps, and the footsteps lead to tire tracks. One tire is different, one back tire is different from the other back tire. So they just follow the tracks back into town to find a car that has different tires. And so while that's kind of odd, you know what I'm saying, because tracks will eventually disappear depending on where you're going and stuff, especially when you get into town. So it takes them a good while to figure out which car it is. And so they find more tracks, muddy tracks and everything. So they follow that out in the middle of nowhere, and there is a hidden bunker. They find a hidden bunker very quickly. Now, while all this is going on, Rhonda, Milligan, and Paramount are all trying to track down the kids. The problem with them is that they kind of slow down the show. And the reason for that is not their acting, because the acting's fine. The problem is those three, Paramall, Rhonda, and Milligan, they all have very similar personalities. They all talk in the same monotone, bleak, boring kind of way. And so because of that, they don't have nobody that's humorous to balance out their boringness. They don't have nobody quirky. See, in the last season, they had number two and Mr. Benedict. Those two balanced out with their quirkiness balanced out the other characters kind of like more blandness and everything. Here they don't have that, and every scene with them is kind of very lackluster and boring. When they're in town trying to track down the kids, they are on a motorcycle, and they got it because Miss Paramall stole it. And then when they run out of gas, Milligan steals the gas from somebody else's house. And so it's like, okay, so what exactly was the message with Rainey early on the first couple of episodes? If they're trying to teach people that stealing is wrong and cheating is wrong and you're supposed to do everything the honorable way, then why have the adults steal? See, it's conflicting, that message early on in the first couple of episodes. Anyway, I digress. So it turns out Dr. Garrison from season 1 is the one who kidnapped Constance, because she is a wreck after Constance destroyed the Whisper machine that's supposed to do the whole emergence thing, because Constance psychic ability is the one that like screwed it up. So she wants to know how. So she's trying to recreate it. And so Constance ain't having none of it, takes the headpiece off and destroys the machine. And this is just the piggyback off of season 1. So then Constance outsmarts her by saying, oh, you know, you're alone, you're miserable, nobody wants you, you're a failure in your professional life. And so she just depresses the woman. And so then the kids eventually find them. And so they're finna leave until then the bad guys find them. And then they can't go nowhere. But then a puff of smoke happens. Somebody set off a smoke bomb. Who has the smoke bomb? Well, it's Milligan, it's Rhonda, and it's Paramall. And they all whooped the behinds of all the bad guys and everything and tied them up, along with that Martina and stuff. And they do it in the smoke where you can't see. You never get to see none of the action in the show, because it always skips to some other part because it's Disney Plus and they wanted to be for kids. But in the book, there is pretty menacing and everything. Like there's a scene that's very, like the 10 men are really terrible and stuff, you know? And so, like, where they get the smoke bomb from is never explained. So they all escape out of there until more of the bad guys show up. And I may actually get into what's going on with the bad guys and Curtin. Curtin is very different. Curtin he has like a cult worship type place. And he kidnapped his brother, number 2. And the thing about him this time is that why are people letting him do stuff if he's a bad guy? Well, he has some type of Jedi mind trick he does on people. He brainwashes people by talking to them and stuff. How exactly is never really explained. And so like he's able to brainwash people and give them artificial happiness. So everybody's gleeful and happy and hippie and everything like that. Only problem is it works too well and it puts them in a catatonic type state. He doesn't care as long as he gets to brainwash everybody. And his message is sent out across the world on television. So technically everybody's being affected by this, but you don't see everybody in the world be affected by this. And so when he is told that, you know, these people are comatose and everything, he, like I said before, he does not care, but he's trying to find a way to undo that. Because what's the point of taking over the world if everybody is in a coma and everything? And so like it happens whenever your neck starts to hurt, then you get to be in a coma. So his brother's affected by this, number 2's affected by this, And so, like, he knows that the kids are around trying to stop him, so he wants the kids kidnapped and stuff. And so, even some of his people are being brainwashed, and so he has a real mess on his hands. But yet, they don't explain how exactly he's hypnotizing people. So, anyways, the bad guys show up to kidnap everybody, so it's like a chase at night, and everybody splits up into different groups. And so it's like Constance and Sticky, it's Milligan, Martinez, and Kate, and then it is, I think, Rhonda and Rainey. And then I think, and then what's her name? Paramount just gives herself up so everybody else can try to get away. But eventually, some of them are kidnapped, and other ones are just brought to, like, the place. They find the place. Turns out, Sticky and Constance are now brainwashed. While there, Sticky is not really brainwashed. What he did was that he started thinking about lone division as he was getting brainwashed and stuff. But Constance somehow got brainwashed, even though she has psychic abilities, and she beat the giant whisper machine last season. So now they need a way to, like, undo this. But the only person who can undo it is Garrison, and she's in hiding. And so they have her notes, and so they read it, and they realize they come up with a way really fast to figure out how to counteract this. It's kind of like a lens flash, like in the camera. So, being the engineer, Kate devises like a looking device that you look inside, you turn the dial, and it makes a flash of light. So she used this on all the adults and Sticky, but they're unable to do it to Constance because she's out and about doing like happy, gleeful stuff. And it's weird seeing her being all happy and gleeful. Oh, let me mention, everybody has grown at least an inch or two since the last season. The girls have grown like an inch, and the boys have grown about 2 inches. But then when you get towards the end of the season, once again, the boys grow like another inch, and Constance grow like another, where Kate just kind of stays in the same position. And so, like, all the adults, they're free, and they're like, all right, let's hightail it on out of here. But no, Benedict does not want to leave without his brother. He loves his brother. And it's like, dude, he's trying to take over the world. And so anyways, they try to unbrainwash Benedict, and as he's gonna turn the dial, the two assistants that like finish each other's sentences, they tackle him and everything. And so we don't know if he cured himself or not, but he's acting like, it hasn't. And so they kidnap Curtin, and they hightail it on out of there. Well, when they're hightailing it on out of there, they have Constance, who's also brainwashed, and they head to number two's parents' house, where her sister and brother live there. And she's estranged from her mother. Her mother doesn't want nothing to do with her and all this other crap. So it's a weird family thing to give number two some more to do. But number two was actually the funnest part of this entire season, because she's very tough and very protective of like Mr. Benedict and everything. So Kate has to devise like another device and everything, while they like, have to like ward off the bad guys that are coming. But here is the problem with this. Once again, the big climactic scene at the end gets dwindled down because they don't want to show violence on the show. So Benedict is talking to Curtin. No, Benedict is actually comatose now, and Curtin's all upset. And he loves his brother apparently now after hating him last season. And so, knowing his brother's comatose, his brother snaps out of it. He was faking the entire time, and he's all like, I just needed you to regain your humanity and all this other crap. And so because of that, Curtin tells all his men that are now at the house, the big climactic showdown that's about to happen, he tells them, all right, it's over. I don't want to take over the world no more. Give up your evil ways and just go home. And that's what freaking happens. And I'm just kind of like, no, that's boring, man. Like, you don't set all this stuff up just to do that. And so it's boring. But there's a problem. Now Constance is comatose, and the device will not work on her. So they have to like get her out of it by making her experience real happiness. So what they do is they annoy her and stuff because she loves those three kids and everything they do get on her nerves, but she likes that really. So they annoy her with like poems and like happy stuff, and it snaps her out of it. Then you will not believe what happened. They give Curtin the device to cure everybody, and they let him go off on his merry little way. And I'm just kind of like, no. I understand you have to cure all the hippie people. They could have done that themselves. But Curtin should be in jail. Why are you going to let him go off on his own? And he's a two-time criminal and stuff. So then everybody goes like back, like, to Benedict's place, and they reminisce and everything, and they start writing rainy letters, and he's happy and stuff because he was getting really jealous, especially when Sticky's like friend from school kept showing up at random, and it was weird. You assume that Sticky random friend would be evil, but he's not. And he tells him, oh, Sticky talks about you all the time, Rainy. You're like his best friend. And so halfway into the show, that makes him all happy and stop being jealous. Everything feels so rushed. But then 5 weeks later happens. They're all like together again, hanging out. And it turns out that like, I think they're all hanging out. I mean, no. I think they're still in the separate places, but we get to see the people at Benedict house who lives there. Not Curtin, but what's the name? Rhonda and number 2. Ever since last season, they've been kind of hinting that those two romantically like each other, but they never done anything about it. And this time they get to hold hands as they're celebrating a wood cutting contest. But it's pretty obvious those two romantically like each other. Now in the books, Rhonda is actually adopted by Benedict, but not in the show. And so Constance there, Benedict is there, and the ladies are there, and Milligan is there. I think Milligan. I'm not sure. But anyway, all of a sudden, Curtin shows up, and he's all like, we have a problem. We have a half-sister, and she's a whole lot more evil than I am. And then it ends. It ends on that cliffhanger. Now, it would have ended perfectly when they all went their separate ways. But when they did the whole 5 weeks later thing, then they were setting up for season 3. Now, the half-sister is in the books and everything. And yeah, so it just ends like that. And now we're never going to get no season 3 because the show has been canceled and it's going to be pulled from streaming. And it's just kind of like they fumbled a lot this season. And I mean a lot. It's like I said before, a lot of stuff happens, but nothing really moves the needle. You know what I'm saying? People's personalities are completely different. It just feels like a different show. It's less quirky. It's more bland. A lot of stuff just happens for the sake of happening, but it doesn't happen to no real good convenience. Like, you really assume the captain and his number 1 are evil and gonna be the main villains of the season, but it's not. I think this show would have benefited big time if they just would have went with what happens in the book. Like in the book, they have to climb down like a mountain, and the 10 Mins are trying to destroy them and all this other stuff. And it's just like, it was so lackluster this season. It wasn't as funny. And Constance, who is normally still has some good one-liners, she wasn't that funny this season because they didn't give her that much stuff to be funny about. And she wasn't as mean as she was last. Like, watch first season, man. Constance is a hoot. But the reason why she's that way in the books is because she's really 3 years old. They had to age her up for the show, But it's just like, they changed too much from the source material, and as a result, they got canceled, and they have nobody to blame but themselves. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.